So I want to talk with you about GDPR and about privacy by design, and I'm very happy that you are still here. You want to listen about some of my legal mambo jumbo. I hope it's of use for you. And what can I say about me? As you heard, my name is Damian Bielecki. I'm known as Typodrodo, which means exactly GDPR dude. And I'm dealing with GDPR and data protection. And at first I will be talking a little faster because I want to talk with you about the myth and what's the most important in GDPR for you. But to talk about this, I firstly need to make sure that you are aware what I'm talking about. There are some basic legal definitions that you should be aware of. And it was hard for me to decide about the model because GDPR is already quite old act. It's in force for the last 7 years. There are children in school that didn't live in the wonderful world before of the GDPR. So some of you probably already had like 20 GDPR training lessons. Some hear about this for the first time. And the first most important question that you probably have is, why should I care? And one of the biggest traps of the lawyers is that they are talking about fines. Probably most of you that are aware of GDPR already heard about the fines and that they are up to 20 million, 4% of global turnover. You don't care about this. I'm pretty sure if you are new, you have new business, you want to create a startup, a unicorn, you want to sell it as fast as possible, you don't care about the risk. If you are an employee, then you don't care about the risk because you think that either you will change the job in the next 3 years, or maybe because you think that your boss will be the one responsible. So I know that the fines never work. And also the GDPR is quite big, but different countries have different, let's say, rules, how the fines are given. In Poland, of course, there's the possibility that you go to jail, but for the last 7 years, no one went to jail. Only one health ministry received this fine, but he still didn't go to the jail. So you only care about the millions that you won't see because you are only earning like annual $10. So there's nothing to be fine about. The more important thing for you is making boss happy. And what I'm saying is that probably I know that in your industry, in your work, you are very often having some KPIs, you need to manage with some tasks. You are saying that you have a big project and you'll be paid if the project is delivered on time. And there's nothing worse than creating a project, being ready to launch when Mr. in suits from the legal department is coming in and saying, you are making stuff that is illegal, you need to wait 3 weeks because we are busy and we won't look at your project, but it won't go without my acceptance. So having some basic knowledge about GDPR or legal stuff makes it so that the DPO guy, data protection officer, is less angry and is less likely to visit you and postpone your projects. So this is if you are employee. So if you are owner of a company, then there's a bigger problem of audits. And we can talk about audits in B2B and B2C, because if we are talking about B2B, then you are having so-called due diligence. Because firstly, if you want to have a unicorn company, if you want to create great app and sell it to some other company and be rich and live without working, then you will go through so-called due diligence process or DD. So it's a process where one company that is buying another company is hiring a lot of lawyers that are checking everything in your company and to verify how much should they pay for your app. The more fuck-ups you have, the less they will pay. So this is the basic rule that when I'm going to various networkings of lawyers right now, 50% of lawyers are new technology lawyers. They have a knowledge of GDPR. So for the last 2 years at least, I know that the GDPR is one of the most basic things that are checked. And there are some things that, of course, as a lawyer, I can find a way to mitigate a lot of mistakes. But some of mistakes in GDPR can't be repaired in a very easy way. Just like if you had an infection. If you have an infection and it's not treated in time, then the hand or leg has to be amputated. And in GDPR, in some cases, it's quite similar. And secondly, in your area of business, a lot of businesses work as a provider of some services. So in the end, if I have time, I will talk about what is the data processor, because that the service provider most of the time is data processor, and data processors because half of the fines in Poland is because of not verifying a data processor or service providers. They are right now audited, and probably if you are giving access to personal data from a company that is paying to you, they will want to make even a basic audit. And when we are auditing, we only want to make sure that the paperwork looks fine. But if the first thing you ask is what's GDPR, then you will have a big problem, and the company will have a very hard time to prove that they can use your services. And there's also because it's the supplier verification and due diligence, but there's also the thing in Poland called nawiedzony klient, the haunted client. If people don't like legal because we are talking about some strange things and things that never happen. Well, it's true that your friend can have an illegal company for the 10 years and he can be laundering money and it will be fine. But you start a business and you are fined the next day or go to jail. That's your luck. And as a legal, we are aware of that, and we are trying to tell you about all of the possible risks. And believe me, GDPR is created in such a way that it's very easy to make a big problem for a company. If someone is aware of his laws, he's aware about the, let's say, gray areas of GDPR, he can give you a very hard time to fight with him, and you have to pay bigger money to the lawyers to then respond to this haunted client. It's just a mess. So in different countries, different level of awareness, but GDPR in Poland is on meme level, and everyone, and in every movie, or even romantic movies, talk about GDPR, so people know about this. And if they often think they have some rights, but they do not have rights, but they think so, and they'll just all the time talk to you and tell you to change something, or they go to the governing authority. So in short, this is the main reasons why you should care. And the next question is, who should care? All of you? Part of you? So first thing is that the GDPR concerns processing of personal data, and the territorial scope, so-called, are everyone in European Union. Many people think that GDPR only applies to companies. In practice, yes, because no one will be fining me as a person, but in pure theory, GDPR is created in such a way that anyone that is processing personal data is obligated to comply with GDPR, unless there is one of things that overrule this. But for now, let's say that if you have business, there is no way in Europe, there is no way for you not to comply with GDPR unless you have no personal data. But if you have employees, then it's already impossible. The second thing that people are not aware of is that anyone that is targeting European citizens. So, for example, you have a company in Ukraine, or you have company in Turkey, Serbia, United States. If you are targeting European citizens, then you also have to comply with GDPR. And of course, you can say, why should I care? I can't be fined. That depends. Because, firstly, if you are a service provider, work mainly as outsourcer, then people in European Union won't be interested in having a business with you, because they'll know that you are working in illegal way. They need to have a proof that you have been checked. And secondly, maybe it's not very often that it happens, but I know a situation where the authorities of European Union, because they have such enforcement, they decided to ban some form of services. Maybe you heard about ChatGPT. It's an app that they use to ask AI about, yeah? So maybe it's starting to get big. And it was banned fully in Italy. In Italy, it was illegal to use ChatGPT as a whole, because it was considered to be a form of storing too much data. And I think the second banned app was, I think, Known Faces, but I'm not Known Faces. It was something with Clearview AI or something like this. So it is in theory possible that if you create too much heat, you are creating too much problems, that European Union will consider you to be highly illegal, to be highly problematic, and will create a lot of problems for you to work. Of course, if you are a small business, if you are a startup, and you are not doing something that is risky or innovative, then you probably don't have to worry about this, but it's nice to know that it happens. And this is one place where you can have a lot of questions. If you have, then ask. If not, then I will go through it very fast. Because personal data, what is personal data? Personal data is any information that is connected to a person, and it allows to verify him directly or indirectly. So direct verification is easy to understand. I have picture of someone and I can see him in the crowd. It's very easy. I have someone first name, last name, phone and social identity number. I can see them in all of the documents. It's very easy for me to track him. Any information, even cookies, IP number, anything that you store that you can somehow track people will be considered personal data. And the second one is the processing. So data processing, it's anything that you do on data, no matter what form. There are only few exceptions concerning paper documents, but anything that's done in electronic form, on phones, on laptops, it will always be data processing. And now is the main topic, because we dealt with the problems, is the privacy by design and by default. This is the new rule that comes from GDPR, and this is one of the biggest changes in GDPR. By design means that you need to involve in your processes, in your apps, the principles of personal data, and they need to be on by default. It means that when you start the process, they already need to exist. It's not that we'll start now and we'll repair it later. No, they need to be from the start. So for you, the most important thing is to understand the 7 core principles of data protection when creating an app or when doing any new process that involves personal data. And the biggest joke is that the first principle is principle of 3 rules. So the lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. Lawfulness may be less important for you. It means that what you are doing is illegal, must be legal. So the best example in Poland is that when you send a newsletter to someone, you need to have his consent. When you use someone's image publicly, you need to have his consent. Well, you need to, if something is innovative, you need to make sure that it just comply with local standards. The more important part is the fairness and transparency. It's hard to say which one is which, but the best example of it are the cookies. You probably heard about such thing as, now I of course forgot about, it's the dark patterns. So dark patterns is the way of manipulating the website, manipulating the content on the website in such way that the user will do what you want to do, but he won't be fully understanding what he did. So for example, you have cookie banner and you have big green button called accept all, and you have very small font text in the bottom without no color saying, no, I object. So this is form of not being fair. And of course, you can ask what type of cookie banner is legal. The cookies are covered by other legal act, and because of this, there's a dispute between governing authorities, not all are saying the same. So generally, by the fairness, you need to know that dark patterns are not something that will always be accepted, and also putting some clauses, small fonts, etc., they will be problematic. I think that slowly, because of other laws, people do not take fairness too much, except of the cookies. And the transparency, it will be more connected with other rules that we'll talk about in a second, but it means that you need to tell to the user in a language that he understands, what are you processing the data for. So, of course, if I have a Polish company and I am providing services mainly to Polish people, then the language should be in Polish. But if my aim is to provide services in other countries, maybe to someone in United Kingdom or in Italy, then probably I should think of using also the language of the local language of Italian. Or maybe if I'm providing assistance to people with disabilities, then maybe also I should allow for the text to be readable by such people. And the next one is more understandable. It's one that is often not liked, let's say, but it's quite easy to understand. The purpose limitation means that you only collect data for the specific purpose. So if I say, okay, give me your email and I will use it to send to you newsletter, then I can't use this email then to sell that email to some other companies because I want to earn on this email. When I say that I gather the data only to the, for example, first and last name, the address to ship the product to the person, I can't use this data then to, I don't know, some analytics. It's not that it's illegal. It's possibly legal, but I need to inform him. The things that I said at the beginning are the most important things. If on the privacy by default level, I wasn't telling everything to the user, then probably it will be very hard to use it later. The next one is the data minimization. There are something that's one of the biggest problems for you, because it means that you only store the minimum amount of information that is necessary. And at least in Poland, because of course the governing authority will make the biggest conflicts about this, are that you can either understand it very strictly as an absolute minimum, and governing authority try to say it in this way, but also there's a more flexible, meaning that data minimization is the minimum amount necessary to do something in an efficient way. So, yeah. Yeah, because currently this topic is still in the courts, because there's a very famous case in Poland that a school implemented a biometric way of entering a dining area. So the children wanted to eat, they needed to give her their fingerprints, or if they didn't give their fingerprints, they need to wait on the end of the line, and they need to have a book contains with samples that are proving that they are eligible to eat. So the governing authority stated that it was illegal. The court stated that was legal because the biometric way was not maybe minimum the way, but it was very efficient because children are forgetting to take the book from house. So it was just much easier. The next rule is the accuracy. Also, if someone is dealing with AI, then probably this rule will be one of the most important ones. Also, it will be important if you are dealing with profiling, because the accuracy means that you need to make sure that the data is accurate. For normal business, when you are, for example, some e-commerce, then of course people are putting their data in, they're putting their address, the product is going to their home. But if you are creating AI, then you need to make sure that the AI is not biased and that the data that it's giving out is true. And it's currently one of the biggest GDPR guardians, let's say, NOIB, are currently fighting with the OpenAI about this, because the AI is hallucinating, and if they say, tell me who is Damian Bielecki, and if it says Damian Bielecki is a serious murderer, then it's problem with the data accuracy, because he's providing false data that could possibly harm me. So, yeah. So that's accuracy could possibly be one of the more important ones. The next one is the storage limitation. So also one of the more controversial ones. It means that you only store data for as long as it is necessary, not 1 day longer. So this is problematic because everyone loves storing data for the lifetime, even longer that the company exists, and Polish authority at least is very highly against it. You need to understand that if you state that you are storing the data, you need to have a very good reason to store it, not saying that maybe one day it will help us. We need to have a good reason for this. And the last three ones, let's say, integrity and confidentiality, you understand it really well. It just means that you need to make sure that the data is not destroyed or the data is not leaked to someone that is not authorized to it. And the last rule that people are laughing about and they do not like GDPR is the accountability. All of those principles that I were talking, okay, you can say we checked it, it's fine, but authorities want to have proof on everything in paper. If I am saying that the data is secure, then I need to have a document that someone performed an audit. When I'm saying that the data subject was informed about processing, then I need to have a proof that he received the privacy notice. And that's the problem of the accountability. And the bigger the company, the more documents you need to create. But when you are a small company, then of course, there's nothing to worry about. And as I said, this is the most important part that I wanted to tell about. So as I understand, the time is finishing, so 1 minute. So last minute I will be given on the roles, but this is one of the biggest problem for me as DPO or someone data protection. The better I know about it, the better I am, is that there are two important roles in GDPR, the data controller and the data processor, and they decide what you have to do. Data controller is the one that is deciding why they have the data and how the data is used, while the processor is the one that is listening to the data controller. So for example, if you have e-commerce, then I am as a e-commerce deciding to whom I am selling and what I'm selling and what do I require what data to sell it to them. The data processor is for example, the email provider, is the hosting provider, because they do not care about the data. They do not want they want me as an e-commerce to pay to them for the services, while the processor only has the data because he was ordered to. And all of those things actually are the requirements of the controller directly, but he can verify whether his supply provider is also performing it, and to make sure that he as a data controller is fully compliant. So that is all that I wanted. In the presentation I think there will be some few basic stuffs also, but if you as a programmer, if you are creating any app, if you know the principles, then most of the work is already done.
Damian, tell me, I'm creating an app and I know that indirectly the app is collecting personal data, but actually if I really think about this, I'm not sure. Because look,
that's the work of the DPO. You are so afraid of asking questions that you already resolved that problem.
So my question is, my app is collecting photos of someone's clothing, and I don't know if the person is putting their or her clothing or not, but they are making pictures. The pictures, actually, if I inspect it very wisely, I would say, okay, so this person has an M size, and you know, it's like not a sure fact, but something that potentially could be personal. So what was your jurisdiction? Is it personal data or not? Personal photos of their clothing equipment at their home. You can't be sure it's there, but
so there are two things. I will cut it short by one definition of whether it's personal data. It doesn't matter as much. I would say that it is personal data just for the safety reasons. But what does it mean that it's under GDPR? The biggest problem, if you have to comply with GDPR when providing such services, is that you need to inform the data subject that you are processing his personal data. Yeah? So there's one article stating that if you don't have his contact details, then you don't need to search for the contact details, only to provide him with the privacy notice. So you have the photos, but you don't have to inform no one about that you have those photos, because there's no way to inform about it. Maybe you have some general information on your website that if you see your face here and you don't want to have your face there, tell us, show us your pictures in those clothes, and we'll remove it. So this is one way that I would go because it's safer, because even if it's not personal data, then for safety reasons, I would still make sure that the data is secure, that the data output is accurate. So I would just go this way. I would try my best not to gather any contact information of those people that are on those pictures. And secondly, if you want to be 100% sure, then I would say that you should have an AI. If you are already having AI that is gathering their clothes, then maybe also have an AI that is anonymizing their faces, because then you are 95% sure that you don't have personal data, because the other 5% are people that have very, let's say, identifiable tattoos. But for example, Mike Tyson, you don't need to see his face, but his tattoo is unique and he's the only person with such tattoo. It's one of those events then that you have personal data even if you don't have his face.
So very nice talking.
Thanks.
I wanted to ask you if you made a website, do you have to add like some way of protecting the data as a part of this or not? Like to have a safety against like cyber attacks, for example?
The main there are two questions that you need to answer. First is the convenience, and second is the security. So convenience is that if you anyway if you gather any personal data, then the best way to inform the user about personal data is giving link to your website. So if you are the question concerned privacy notices, then website is just the easiest way. You have some safeguards that, hey, this person could read this, it's on our website. But if you're talking about security measures, then strictly depends whether you have any place where the person can store his data and whether this place can be hijacked. Because me as someone that is working highly in the financial sector, I know that websites that allow for paying with card can have this formula for providing cardholder data hacked, and then you have a big problem. I'm not sure which airlines, but one UK airline had such accident that someone hacked their website by swapping the display. So generally speaking, if you have a small business and you're only gathering email for newsletter, then I wouldn't care too much about the GDPR problems with the data breach. It's more problem of PR if someone hack your website and start showing some, let's say, nasty pictures on it, or because in some way it can harm your reputation. GDPR is the smaller problem there.
Thank you very much. Okay.